Is faith a gift from God? In short answer, no. Faith is not a gift from God, but there is one small caveat that I'll mention at the end of this video. This question typically comes up in theological circles when describing how someone gets saved. The thinking goes something like this: man is dead in their trespasses and sins, which is true, Ephesians 2. And because of this, though, they are unable to respond by faith to the gospel. That is not true. And thus, God must grant them the gift of faith in order to believe. And so the process, according to those who hold this view, is simply this. Number one, there's a presentation of the gospel. Number two, God gives the unbeliever who was chosen before the foundation of the world faith. And then number three, the unbeliever who has been chosen and been given the gift of faith exercises the faith that God just gave them. Now, the problem with this view is that the Bible simply does not teach this. First of all, every time the command to believe is given, it's given in the active voice. This means that the person being told to believe is responsible to respond in and out of their own volition. In other words, according to their own ability to choose. These commands are often given to unbelievers who, oftentimes when examining the context, end up not even believing. And then second, this is used often, Ephesians 2:8-9. But Ephesians 2:8-9 does not teach that faith is a gift, but rather that salvation is the gift of God. Ephesians 2:8-9 read this: "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest anyone should boast." And so many who hold that the view that faith is a gift believe that the pronoun that refers to faith, which is the nearest antecedent. The problem with this is that the word that and the word faith do not match in gender, and this is required in Greek grammar. And so because that is a neuter gender word and there's no antecedent with the neuter gender, Greek grammar demands that you go to the main verb and nominalize it. In other words, you go to the main verb and you turn it into a noun. And so the main verb in this passage is "you have been saved." And when you nominalize it or make it a noun, you get salvation. And so salvation is the gift of God. And that's what Ephesians 2:8-9 teaches. Third, and the one caveat that is often brought up here is Romans 12:3. Romans 12:3 says, "For I say through the grace given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, as God has dealt to each one a measure of faith." So if one carefully considers the context here, though, the faith being given is given to a person who is already saved for a very specific purpose, that they might exercise and execute their spiritual gifting in an acceptable way to the Lord. So the faith given is designed to assist in empowering believers to utilize their spiritual gifts. So if you want to say that faith is a gift, it's a gift that's given to believers to exercise their spiritual gifts, not a gift given to unbelievers in order to be justified, in order to be saved from the penalty of sin.